So I was on a gig last night with a saxophone player named Tim Armacost, and he was talking about there's this particular lick that he hears Billy Hart play a lot. Tim gets to play with Billy quite a bit, and there's this little lick that Billy plays that's pretty popular in the jazz drumming community. And Tim said that he loves to like take that little lick and try to do something melodically with it. He likes to be inspired by drummers' licks and try to sound a little bit more like a drummer on the horn player, which, by the way, he does a phenomenal job of. Matter of fact, I'll probably link some Tim Armacost stuff at the bottom of this. If you aren't familiar with his playing, you should really check him out. But what I thought was funny is this is the phrase: 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time: 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you haven't heard that phrase yet, man, it's in. Tony uses it. Everybody uses it. And the interesting part is I said, you're taking that phrase as a horn player. Say, man, I'm influenced by this drummer playing this rhythm, and as a horn player, I want to sound more like a drummer. And so I had to tell him it actually started the other way around. That phrase comes from a little shout section in Charlie Parker's Confirmation. It's not in the melody, but it's like a little send-off for drum solos. And I'll link a little thing on Confirmation where they'll use that little shout section. So that phrase actually doesn't come from a drummer. It actually comes from a horn player. It comes from Charlie Parker. So there's another little phrase that we use as drummers that didn't come from a drummer originally. So one more time, I'll play that phrase. If you don't know it, I mean, we use it all the time. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some other little ways to kind of stretch it out. So again, the phrase is simply 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 3. Sorry. 1 and 3. 1, 2. Now, that's the way it's normally played. But obviously, you can voice that any way you want. Or. So first and foremost, after you play that phrase a little bit, the very first thing you should do is try to just revoice it a little bit and see all the different ways you can. The second thing I think you should do is it works really well fast. But if you slow it down and you give yourself a little bit more room, like if you're kind of playing something in here, what I like to do when I play it in there is ornament it a little bit, dress it up a little bit more, so it's got a little more weight to it. So if it's fast, I'm going to play it just like it is and try to play it nice and clean and crisp so that I can clearly display the time to everyone and I can clearly hear that phrase. But slower, I might fill it out a little more. So I might play something like... So all I did there is I took the original phrase, 1 and 2, 3, and on the and of 2, I put in another stick on stick. 1 and 2 and 3, and then here, I played, instead of just 1, 2, I put another bass drum in there in between. 1 and 2. You can also just kind of stretch it out, like, put a little. There's another one there where I'm just going to put a little rough in front of it. So really simple phrase, really hip phrase, comes from Charlie Parker, and now we've got horn players trying to steal our drum licks that we originally stole from horn players. Don't think about that one for too long. Mess around with it. Take those really short phrases and move it around. Find really slow versions of it. Find ways to essentially advance it, right? Don't just play that one little phrase. The little things I just did, and they're very simple, are ways that I can kind of personalize it so it still sounds like that old Charlie Parker phrase, but it sounds like I'm playing it this year, not just that I'm flat out imitating something Charlie Parker did, back in the 40s. Good luck. Nice and easy phrase, super hip.